I start with the topic of experience disruptors of old routines or developers of new habits. But first, like a quick introduction of myself. My name is, as Yuki already said, Jacqueline Staiger, but you can just call me Jackie. It's easier that way, and I'm used to it. So I'm a UX and service designer at UIdeation, and I started actually as a designer a few years back at Köln International School of Design with a variety of projects in different areas of design, like design concepts or interaction design, and finally graduated in design theory and research in identity and design. And during my studies, I started working as a UX working student at Yellowstrom and worked there for 4 years. That's actually how I got into the whole UX field. So, and after my graduation, I actually started working here at UIdeation as a trainee first, and then continued with a permanent position. And while I was working as a UX designer, I started focusing on hypothesis-based work and guerrilla testing, which led to the workshop work of with organizations and the co-creation work based with like creating products. But mostly, and most of you might know that there's no time actually like inviting users to real workshops and asking them, what do you think about the whole thing? And that's where I try to jump in and try to represent at least the user's point of view. Which brings me to somehow the point of what I'm actually trying to talk about. So let's see or have a look at the agenda. First, I'd like to get into a little kind of a definition, or actually more of an example. And then from point 2 to 7, I go into the attributes or characteristics. So like the uniqueness, the value of the customer journey, the personalization, the brand ambassador of things. So yeah, we go into detail then. And at the end, we go into the closing word and a Q&A round. Okay, imagine the following thing. Corona 2021, of course. I think everyone can imagine that. So it's Friday afternoon, way too late for grocery shopping. Not because it's not possible, just because I would be too exhausted. And of course, I don't want to. So I'm ordering HelloFresh, which gets delivered like a pre-chosen me for a weekend. And so I'm going to order some drinks via Flaschenpost, which, in case you don't know it, it's a drink delivery service in Cologne, and I don't know, maybe in some other cities in Germany as well, which will also be delivered within the next 120 minutes. And next thing, I cycle back home with my rented bike from Swalkifieds, because I got it for this month because my bike is actually in the workshop. And after I got home and accepted all my orders for the weekend, I start my Friday night with a movie on Netflix. So, a short recap. It's not about the movie you're seeing here. It's just about what do we have for as an example for experience disruptors. Shortly said, none of them have a new innovative product, but they try to create this best solution of their customers by combining different product and service solutions, right? So they don't try to create something special. They just measure the experience, not the product. So the question is, how can we design a new product solution, a great product solution? Which brings me to the first attribute. Sorry, this way. Uniqueness. Actually, I think to achieve the so-called wow effect or the unique effect, it's not necessary that everything is new or unknown. People rather try their experience not based on newness. It might be helpful, no doubt, but we do know our customers by meaning if we spot their needs and pains and connect these with the customer journey, then we are able to understand their needs and using their product. We are also able to optimize and develop their product further. And we are also able to connect to the customer and get closer to them. As an example, and I actually took an offline or analog one, I used ASOP at the ASOP store. Maybe you know it. So ASOP is actually founded in 1987 in Melbourne, and it's developed as a famous beauty brand. So, which is not only known for their products, but also for their stores. And for those of you who don't know it, it's kind of a ritual store. So they have a really nice beauty brand with a lot of soaps and stuff. But because they're not only looking at their products, not brands, products, so they try to learn constantly, try to get inspired all over the world. But how do they actually do it? The stores are designed by local architects and designers. So they represent the culture, the history, the society of each country or region. So they try to stay close to their customer so they can relate to them. If we look at the store of Cologne, for example, it's completely different to the one in Melbourne. So you see the one in Melbourne, which is more like a fluid design and has a playful architecture that doesn't work, or maybe it would work in Cologne or in Germany, but not, it would be kind of weird. If we see the Cologne one, it's more puristic and it's more a Scandinavian style, and we use it and we feel automatically homey, or it's kind of homey and it's natural. And of course, then the product itself, it feels really nice and clear for us. So of course I had to figure out, because I'm in a digital world, how might an online product look like? Netflix, for example, has a similar approach, because by displaying different kinds of movies in each country, they using the same approach, because each country has, for example, its own most favorite movies. So it's a similar use of being thoughtful of culture and society. Yeah, that's actually already the first attribute. So let's check that was too fast. The next one. So the value of the customer journey. So the fact that we live in a digital transformation, which is driven by technology that is growing and continuously developing to get results like new slim payment methods that leads us unnoticed processes in our customer journey. And here I'm talking about me as a customer. I mean, which leads me to use unnoticed services, for example, which I probably didn't need in the first place, but after having it integrated into my daily routine, and I use it as it was already there. So what do I mean? In this case, I just use a cash, like a 10 euro cash here, because when I was looking for a picture for this following example, it felt like yesterday that I was written all over places cash only. So maybe you remember it too, like a cab ride, so, or a bakery or a small cafe, you always had to use cash. But nowadays it's not necessary anymore. You can just use an app for paying a cab ride, or you go to the bakery and all payment methods are possible. You can pay with PayPal, credit card, everything is possible. So there's so many possibilities I can pay for. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't have to check my purse before we even have to walk somewhere anymore. So the service itself, or the journey itself, improved. It's easy this way. And then the next thing would be actually the personalization, or the personalize to persuade. By looking at this next point, we start to look under the surface, because when experienced disruptors using personalizing as a tool, then they not only personalize the product, then they actually dig deeper and apply the whole toolbox of psychological tricks to change the expectation of a customer. I'd say they have reached me when they show me something I haven't seen or heard before, when they make me want to experience something I really want or I really haven't seen before. They reach me when they take my hand like a child would do and say, "Come, I show you my world." Because a child is always inspired by everything. Also here, I do have an example, which is super simple and everybody knows it. Spotify. They send every week an individual playlist to each user, and the discovery playlist is to surprise them and maybe even show them something new. But of course, at one point, it's not new anymore, and maybe sometimes we're thinking, okay, what are you doing here? You're not my genre, I don't like you. But still, it works, it's refreshing, and with the help of these disturbances or easy collections like your best 2020 or something else, your daily routine is running not like a lifeless shell. It keeps you awake and you think, okay, I really want to see more, maybe something refreshing is coming up. And that is why the personalization, which is not only the same routine and the rhythm, is working easily with not much effort in it. So let's get to the next point, which includes actually the user itself, which is customers become brand ambassadors. So to be honest, if you find only one of the services, solutions, products, or any of the proposition which was shown even a little bit interesting, we not only hope, we not expect that we can like or share or even repost it in our feed. We really have to do it because we think we are convinced, we think it's fun, it's interesting, it's relevant to one of the current trends that's running right now. And at the same time, this is the perfect solution for organizations to draw attention to themselves, because we market their product conscious and or unconsciousness. It doesn't matter, but it's free for them and it's easy. Even though, like Instagrammers, there are also organizations using the power of the job of influencers by cooperating with them. So it'll be a market as well, and even more precisely, and seem to be more relatable because people trust influencers and seem to follow their instincts. So that means Instagrammer, for example, are sharing their stories and report their experiences with a certain product, how it enriched and optimized their life, and how they can live with how they can't live it any longer, because it would be so much worse without it. So they attach actually a voucher or a discount to it, and of course everything is so much better if you have a discount on a product and it feels like, okay, then I can actually afford it because it's cheaper that way. That is kind of the way, and a quite an easy way for organizations to increase their range and reach a new target group easily. And almost the last point, which is enthusiasm instead of hesitation. So if we manage to motivate customers and offer more than a standard solution, then we might be successful. But therefore, it's important to take a step towards a customer and offer a variety of solutions. That means leave them the decision they want to choose and how they want to use it. before they limit the whole solution in advance and try to predict how they might behave without even knowing. If you just let them decide, empower the customer, we build trust and build a relationship. So, for example, and this is a really German example one, it's, oh, sorry, that was too fast. No, one back here. It's Emma mattresses. So it's a manufacturer which sells only online mattresses. So it's impossible to try the product beforehand. So their solution is you can sleep one night of trial beforehand, or at least you can buy the whole thing and you can sleep for 100 nights. And if you don't like, you just send it back. So you don't have to commit for 100%, you only commit partly because there's a dropout possibility. People are more committed to the whole process, to the whole payment, to the whole contract situation. A similar principle uses actually the abonnement providers like Amazon, Netflix, or Spotify, because while they offer you a test month, they try to make a service as interesting as possible so the customer will stay. The testing customer sees the offer as a symbol of trust and they feel flattered. Furthermore, he can check whether the solution keeps what it's promised. And to be honest, if you already in the whole process, if you already use the service, you're too lazy to get out, right? Or at least I am most of the time. And now the last attribute, the only constant is change, which is one of my favorite ones because it's really being close to the customer and not only changing something because you want to change it, it's changing something together with the customer. But it also can be a dark parent thing. So let's sum up the attributes afterwards. Experience disruptors are always in a constant change, open for something new and never see their products or service as a finished or perfectly done one. So that is why products are constantly developed further through hypothesis-based work or usability tests before they get validated and implemented, depending on the results, of course. So the variety of a further developed product is reflecting positively among users. So they think they are always getting something new, even though it's still the same product, but it's improved. It's a visible check on the actual product they're using. It's newer and more different somehow, even though they pay the same. If this is guaranteed, it doesn't feel like I commit for a long time for the same product or service because it's always new and exciting. And so this can have a different approach. Either it's the idea of optimizing a product again and again, so it'll be improved, that your target group can take the most of it. So here you need to be really careful because it can be really bad for your customer if you take advantage out of it, but you can take advantage out of the whole situation by co-creating something really nice for your customers. So as an example, Amazon has proven that business model can grow and create an ecosystem. They created a really ecosystem which has various pillars, like starting from their retail through e-commerce to audio, video. So they not only optimize their original product or service, but they also enlarge themselves and offered even more for their users. They enlarged the whole business and they grew into one of the most biggest experience disruptors they have right now. And that is actually the last attribute I'm having and brings me to my wrap up. So the closing word I'm having, only if we're open for change and see products development as a teamwork with the customer, we can develop enthusiastic and user-centered solutions. I think experience disruptors are often intruders into familiar routines, while at the same time setting standards and building trust. So they create smart solutions which aren't that new but close to the customer. And as a result, user transfer these standards to other areas which might be bad, but also brings us into some crazy situations. So we keep on changing, and also like among other things, and then take them as given. Experience disruptors guide us from the user's point of view and help others to become more comfortable and to expect even more from organizations. So I'd say if we're happy about this fact that someone pushes us constantly and help us staying in constant change, this might be a good thing. Thank you.